You've heard it before, the Predator is back. But was it really? At least, to a lot of people, a real Predator is low cut. And now that the Predator 20.1 low has finally dropped, well, I'm gassed and I think a lot of people are. So today I'll give you my extensive review to let you know if this lives up to the massive expectations that I at least have had to it, or if you're better off simply sticking with your old low-cut Predators. From a tech perspective, the Predator Mutator 20.1 high and low model is a bit like the Vapor 13 and Superfly 7. They're the same boot, just with different colors. That means that the Predator Mutator 20.1 low here also gives you this woven textile body that we also see on the regular 20.1. And it also means that it is in fact not made out of knit, although you might think so, like we see on the Predator Mutator 20+. Instead, it's made to be very soft and nice around your foot, especially because it's made with this super premium inner liner material to give you still a very good, comfortable sensation on your foot, regardless of the fact that it is just a woven textile, because in most people's eyes, a knit material is more premium. It still feels good, don't worry about it. Now then we also have, of course, the star of the show, the 258 Demon Skin SL rubber fins that you get on a UK 8.5 with less fins on a smaller size, more fins on a bigger size. Then you have the control frame split outsole and of course the low-cut Primeknit color instead of the higher sock color that we see on the regular 20.1 here. And it actually reminds me a little bit of what the X19 Plus color would look if they made it out of knit, which is nice, because I like the shape of that color, so I hope I'm gonna like this too. But let's start off talking about the fit, because as the name suggests here, this is a low-cut version of the Predator, meaning that you get a more traditional free sensation around the lower part of your leg. And it's something that I much prefer. Now don't get me wrong, the 20.1, should I say regular mid-cut, it has a nice sock, but I really prefer this relatively smooth transition from boot to foot thanks to this sock-like execution we have, but without this really obvious compressed feeling around the ankle bone. The fit itself here is relatively tight, but thanks to the soft textile upper, it also feels very pleasant, soft and pliable, and I'd say it moves pretty well with the foot because it feels like somehow there is an ever so slight amount of stretch to it, meaning that I got the feeling that it actually molded to the shape of my foot. Now, you also get a relatively low toe box, which I personally like a lot because it amplifies the tightness sensation and that sensation of being one with the boot. But it might not be for everyone, especially also because you do get a more tight midfoot and more narrow midfoot than usual, but with a slightly more roomy forefoot. And that means that for me, again, I have a very narrow foot, so it really gives me that tight, secure, locked-in sensation in the midfoot. But on the other hand, if you have a relatively wide foot, you might need a little bit more break-in time and stretching for the Predator 20.1 low to feel as comfortable as it does for my foot. And the same thing applies for that fella, by the way. And speaking of this secure fit, well, thanks to the tighter midfoot and the heel construction where it really grabs and holds your foot in place, the lockdown was actually quite a lot better than I expected. And actually because of how sleek and nimble the boot feels, it gave me this streamlined speed boot vibe. Actually, as weird as it sounds, but of course with a tighter, more roomy and comfortable forefoot. And that is the key word for the 20.1 low. To me, it's very comfortable, but you shouldn't expect this slipper-like, very floaty experience that you got in the 19 pluses that were jam-packed with foam. And because adidas removed a lot of foam also means that I didn't have to go up half a size to squeeze my feet in, meaning that I went true to size and got an almost inch perfect fit both in the width and the length. Again, I have a narrow foot, so if you have a wider brick boat-like shaped foot, this will accommodate, no worries, but it's probably not the most obvious choice, I'd say. As for the outsole, it is exactly the same as on the Predator 20 Plus, but without the extra bling, I guess. That means that you get a split outsole and then you have a full-length, stiffer inner board to give you the strength and stability that you need. You also get a very nice flex in the forefoot. You have these nicely rounded, elongated studs that give you enough grip, but still offers a very smooth transition when you're in the ground. So I don't really have any complaints, because this gives me that solid, secure, and comfortable base that I expect to have in a Predator. Of course, the thing we all want to know about is the touch and the grip, because after all, it is what makes the 20.1 Low a Predator and not just another random knitted sock boot like everything else. And here you still get, like I mentioned, these diamond-shaped Demon Skin SL rubber fins. And while they aren't nowhere near as aggressive as on the 20 Plus, they're slightly more balanced and more rounded, but there's still grip and solidity enough to make it feel like a Predator when you strike the ball. So you do feel connected to the ball thanks to all the little stimulations you have on the forefoot, but in a more padded and solid way that you would do in a traditional thin textile boot. But there is more grip physically, at least that's what my brain is trying to tell me. And you somehow get the feeling that it is easier to generate grip and swerve on the ball, but also to keep the ball closer when you dribble. It might just be mind tricks, but I'll take it. Now, as for durability, which you could be a little bit concerned about with the fins falling off, I've worn these for a couple of months now, and I haven't seen any physical signs of the fins wearing down or straight up falling off. So knock on wood, the durability seems to be good, and I'm happy about it. But let's be honest here, the Predator Mutator 20.1 Low also has its restrictions, because when you make a boot that is this unique and it stands out so much, it's gonna split opinion a little bit. So I probably reckon that there will be people who will think that this is simply too grippy and too aggressive and too much, while there will also be people, probably the older Pred heads, that will feel that the Mutator 20.1 Low, it's not heavy or solid or powerful enough like the Predators of old were. Now, to me, it's not really a problem and I like it a lot, but I just wanted to put it out there. Now, since you've been sat through hearing all of this talking, I assume you're at least a little bit interested in copying a pair of one of the Predator Mutated 20s, but maybe you're still a little bit on the fence about which of the boots to choose. And I understand that, because options are good, but too many options and it can be a bit hard to make a decision. Well, today I'm gonna help you out, because for me, I would personally choose between the 20 Pluses and the 20.1 Lows. Now, the mid-cut 20.1, it's not bad, it's just stuck a little bit in between for me. So what the 20 Plus represents to me is this crazy, outspoken, ultimate boot when it comes to grip and looks and height, frankly. And if you're into that sort of thing, well, this is gonna be absolutely perfect, because it's just so extreme in everything it does. So you get that very tight sock-like laceless sensation. It is simply stickier on the ball than the 20.1s. And also, I reckon it looks just better and more premium than both of the 20.1s do. However, if you are a bit more of a traditionalist and you don't necessarily fancy that Übergrip 2000 from the 20 Pluses, well, maybe the 20.1 Lows might just be a little bit more up your alley, because it is still very comfortable despite not being made with as premium materials, aka Primeknit, as the 20 Pluses. But the grip is a little bit more balanced and not as potentially tripping over the ball the first time you use them. You get the added performance benefit of the lasers and the added lockdown. You get a more normal, I would say, traditional collar height, and of course you save 60 euros. And no, it isn't as premium and luxurious and wild as the 20 Pluses, but this is the boot I would choose for a match day every single time. But if I have to sum up my thoughts, and I know there have been a lot, this is a great little football boot, and also the best, most Predator-like Predator since the Adi Power, because it is a little modern control boot that also dares to do what it does without trying to be too generalizing. And there really is no other boot like this out there, while it still feels like a Predator. It's also my favorite of the Predator Mutated 20 boots, because it has this really good balance on the grip, that low-cut nimble feel, and actually having Predator DNA that you can feel and touch. And if you're hooked like me, well, you can actually buy this via the link to Unisport store right over there. But also, what do you think about the low-cut Pred? You should hit me up in the comment section right down below, and then also make sure you've subscribed to the channel with the notifications on. And then maybe while you wait for your new kicks to arrive, why not go and learn some wicked skills in the playlist right over there. And with that said, guys, I'm signing off. Cheerio.